It is an absolutely beautiful day here in Bloomingdale, New Jersey, and I am at Oakwood Lake. Oakwood Lake is Bloomingdale's public lake. There is a dock that you could fish off of, and it's just a really nice place to walk around and it's like a nice flat neighborhood. So it's not very hilly, so it really is an ideal neighborhood to be able to go for a walk. Bloomingdale is in the top of Passaic County in northern New Jersey. We're about 30 miles out of New York City. There is a bus that comes from New York City. It is not an express bus, so there are a lot of stops, but you could get on a bus in Port Authority and come all the way to Bloomingdale, New Jersey, which is a very, excellent feature. Bloomingdale has so many positive things about it. We are definitely a borough that has a lot of lake communities. There are a bunch of private lakes in the borough of Bloomingdale, and then of course this beautiful public lake behind me, which is Oakwood Lake, which there are lakefront homes on Oakwood Lake, and this is it's just very picturesque. There's excellent bird watching. There is a Facebook page called Beautiful Bloomingdale, New Jersey, and some of the very best bird shots are here on Oakwood Lake. There's a fountain on this lake that's going most of the time to keep the water nice and fresh. What that does is it takes the cooler water from the bottom and brings it to the top and helps stop some of the weed growth. So to tell you a little bit about the lakes of Bloomingdale, New Jersey, there are private lakes that you can't access unless you own a home on these lakes, and that is Morse Lakes, which is a community with 2 small lakes. There's Lake Iosco, there's Glen Wild Lake, and there is Kampfe Lake. There is another area of Bloomingdale that does have lakes, but it is owned by the Salvation Army, and that is known as the Star Lake Complex. And there is a camp there where there's the Salvation Army runs their programs and everything, but that is not public, that you could just go to. I know that a lot of the Bloomingdale schools do their field day at Star Lake, so sometimes people from Bloomingdale get to go up there and enjoy it, but it's not just a lake community that you could go and hang out in. This lake behind me, Oakwood Lake, is a public lake, and Bloomingdale does take care of it. There is a real nice little dock area, and again, just to walk around here is a really nice thing. So to go through the benefits of living in Bloomingdale, New Jersey and the lake communities, Bloomingdale is home to Norvin Green State Forest, which is an absolutely spectacular state forest that I would say rugged terrain. It is filled with hiking trails. All of the hiking trail maps are online. They're maintained by the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, but you can, if you Google Borough Bloomingdale and Norvin Green State Forest, you can get the maps right on your phone, or you could buy the maps at either through the New Jersey, New York Trail Conference, or the local Glen Wild Garden Center has a lot of the maps. That trail system is really spectacular. I've been through a lot of it. It's one of my plans is to go through all of it over this summer, but there's waterfalls, there's views in New York City. It's just there's some ruins of old buildings. It's just a really, really fun place to hike. Pretty challenging hiking, but definitely something for everyone. Bloomingdale also has a Dunleavy Park, which is a county park that has some trails in it, not as extensive as Norvin Green, but a real nice place to go hiking. And at the beginning in the front of Dunleavy Park, there's plenty of parking, but there is a really nice dog park. And the dog park has 2 sections, one for big dogs and one for little dogs. So no matter, what your canine friend looks like, that there is a nice place you could go and have safe play time with your dog. And then after or before, you could always take them for a nice hike through the trails of Dunleavy Park. Now, excuse my hand there. Some of the private lakes in Bloomingdale, as I mentioned, you've got Morse Lakes, which is a really adorable private lake community. They do have a clubhouse that is available to rent with a sand beach, and a nice walkability. To be able to walk around Morse Lakes It's just, again, very picturesque, a lot of nature and a lot of birds. And Morse Lake backs into Lake Iosco property, and then behind Lake Iosco is the Wanacue Reservoir property. So it's like a lot of forest. There is trails that go up into there that will connect into Norvin Green. So Morse Lakes, you cannot access the lake unless you own property there. It is a private lake. It is stocked with fish, and again, only open for fishing if you are a resident. Lake Iosco is another private lake that there's a couple different ways to access it. There is not a road that goes all the way around Lake Iosco. Lake Iosco is also a private lake, and you are only allowed to access it to go fishing, swimming, boating if you live on Lake Iosco. You know, the lake, the private lake communities are very particular. They definitely don't want people speeding through there. And if you don't live there or aren't visiting a friend, they're really not too keen on you going in there to visit. But once you do, live there or have friends on any of these private lakes, they are pretty spectacular places to go visit. So another one of the private lakes in the borough of Bloomingdale is Glen Wild Lake. Glen Wild Lake is 111 acres. There's about 155 homes. Glen Wild Lake has a vintage clubhouse that was recently renovated. It has a beautiful sand beach, volleyball, playground. It does have tennis courts with pickleball. They've recently been upgraded with some nice lights. There is very frequently pickleball games going on. Glen Wild is a very sporting lake. It's stocked with fish. There's an active sailing club. There's a lot going on there, and because of the clubhouse, there is a centralized meeting place where they have a lot of happy hours and parties, community events. It's a really beautiful, active lake community. And last but certainly not least, Kampfe Lake is another private lake in Bloomingdale. Kampfe Lake has a central gazebo. It used to be an estate, which is very beautiful. The house is gone, but there's a gazebo, and you could actually see the ruins of where the old house used to be. And Kampfe Lake, the lot sizes are a little bit bigger. Most of them are either a half acre or an acre. Very exclusive. The water is crystal clear and perfect. Kampfe Lake is a really, really beautiful upscale lake. So this is just touching on the lakes of beautiful Bloomingdale, New Jersey. Again, I hope you enjoyed having Oakwood Lake in the background. If you live in Bloomingdale, this borough just has a lot to offer in as far as nature, hiking. I only touched on our parks. We have Sloan Park, we've got Bogue Pond Park, which is a great park with playground equipment, and we've got lots of, a lot of our parks have newer basketball courts that have been recently renovated. So there's just a lot to do in this town. Just even as a resident, to come here and to go fishing if you're not a member of one of, if you don't have a house in one of the bigger lake communities. Bloomingdale Recreation has a lot of really super programs. There's just a lot to do here. It's a really, really fantastic place to live. So this is the borough of Bloomingdale, the top of Passaic County. We're about 30 miles out of New York City. It's a really nice place to live. We've got Martha B. Day School, Samuel R. Donald School, and then the Walter T. Bergen School is the middle school. And then the children, when they graduate from the Walter T. Bergen School, can go either to Butler High School, which is a high school in an adjacent town of Butler. And then there's also a lot of academies. You could go into Passaic County Tech, and then there's a whole thing. There's a whole lot of information of this online if you are more interested in finding out about the variety. So that's a really interesting thing about Bloomingdale, is that you do have a little bit of a choice when it comes to high school to best fit your child's needs. If you have any questions about this place, let me know. I've lived here myself we're working on 24 years, and I grew up at Glen Wild Lake. So I do specialize in the lake communities and can answer any questions about what it's really like to live in the borough of Bloomingdale and enjoy any of the Bloomingdale lake communities, enjoying what the town itself has to offer. And as far as excellent library, we've got an excellent senior center, Bloomingdale Recreation, town events such as Celebration Day, Sloan Park Festival is a live music festival that was a couple of weeks ago in the park with vendors, live music, lots of activities for families and for people to come and enjoy live bands in the park. And then around the holidays, it's the holiday stroll in the park with just all sorts of fun activities. There's s'mores, there's fire pits, there's going to be a dance demonstration this year. So I'm Jennifer Ellis. I specialize in lake communities in northern New Jersey. I'm with Coldwell Banker. If you have any questions about what housing looks like in this area, or if you would like to see any homes on the lakes or in the borough of Bloomingdale, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you and be able to answer any questions for you. Thank you so much for watching.